Hey everyone, today we're starting pepper seeds. It's about 10 weeks before my last frost date, and now is the time to get these seeded up and planted so that I can have them ready to plant out before spring comes. So I garden in a zone 5B/6. I'm right at about 42 degrees latitude, just outside of Chicago. So I want to make sure that I start my peppers indoors because my growing season is pretty short, and peppers like it hot and they need a lot of heat. To really flourish and produce a nice big crop. What I love about growing peppers is that once I harvest them, I can do a number of things with them. I can either eat them fresh, or I can preserve them by canning them up, or peppers freeze really nicely. So I can just simply vacuum seal them in a Ziploc baggie and toss them in my freezer and then use them up at a later date in the winter. So I'm going to start with pepper etudia. This is from Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds. It's like a nice sugary sweet pepper. I really like these. I like the orange flavor. My kids like them. So it's just really nice to have on hand. The planting instructions say start inside under bright light 8 to 12 weeks before the frost date. So if you are anywhere in zones between like 4 and 7, you have a nice window to get these started under some grow lights indoors, which I would definitely recommend doing. Next up, we have some Grand Bell sweet peppers. These are high yielding peppers. They produce a lot of peppers. And what I like about these is that they have a nice mix. So I'll get a variety of mixes of yellows, greens, and red peppers, which is going to be great. And then another pepper I'm going to start is the California Wonder Pepper. This is a really great standard pepper to grow in the garden. It's just super flavorful. It's a nice size, very good yield on this one. I've had a lot of good results with this. So I am noticing with these peppers that they have an expiration date that is a few years old, and that's something to keep in mind. If you have seeds on hand, check their expiration date. These actually expired in 2022, so I'm going to toss quite a few in each cell just to see if one of them germinates. If it doesn't, that's okay. I can always run to the nursery and grab an actual pepper plant to get out in the garden, but I just want to kind of get these started today and see what we can come up with. But today we're also using this new Coco Bliss Premium Coconut Core Pith, and it's the ideal growing medium for organic and hydro-organic applications. And I chose this because it's actually much more cost effective than the normal seed starting mix that I see on Amazon. So for a 3-pack of Miracle-Gro seed starting mix, I was paying nearly $20. And I found this, which has 5 bricks for $22. So one of these bricks is basically one of those bags. So in my mind, it was a much better bang for my buck. So here's the actual brick itself. I mean, it is rock hard, and this thing expands. It's so cool the way it does it. And I just watch it. I walked away and came back and it was like double, triple the size. It was quite a sight to see. So let's actually do that together and you can see what I'm talking about. So I've just got a bucket here. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the bucket and then let's fill it up with water. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and fill this up with kind of room temperature water. Just toss that in there. Looks like a lot of water, right? But promise you it is not. All right, let's just watch this thing do its thing. You can see how much bigger it is already. And it will start to kind of just fall away from the actual brick. And what's cool, you can actually see the water level receding because it's soaking into the brick. So nearly all the water is absorbed, which I find just crazy. And I'm going to have to add some more to it. But you see it's slowly starting to break apart, and it really is starting to feel and resemble seed starting mix. So this is the perfect medium. So far I've been really happy with it. Let's go ahead and add some more water. Look at that. It's dry inside. That gives you any idea of how much water this thing absorbs. There we go. It's all broken up. Just a few dry pieces inside, but those will break down. And this is really the perfect consistency. You don't want it dripping water, but you also want it kind of clumping together. So I'm pretty happy with this. Okay, so I've gone ahead and gotten my seed tray, and I've actually selected larger seed cells here. These are 4 inches by 4 inches, and I like these for peppers because I don't want to have to pot up my peppers. I want them to be able to really grow and put on some size in these pots, so that way they're a nice size that I can plant them out directly in the garden in mid-May or so. So that's kind of my one thing that I really do with peppers. I don't like to put them in small cells, like 32s or something, where they're only 2 inches big, because they become root bound really quickly. Peppers grow and they put on size, right? And then I'll have to go through the process of potting them up to these size cells, only to have to wait to put them out into the sun mid-May, or sometimes even late May, depending on the type of spring we have here in a cooler zone. So just something to keep in mind if you're growing in a cooler zone like I am. You might want to grab some of these. I got these at a local garden center, so they're readily available. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put my seed tray out. This thing is fantastic. So this is just like a piece of plastic that's just a mat, but it buttons here in the corner and it creates a tray. So that way I don't make a mess if I'm doing this stuff indoors, and I can just fold it up and put it away when I'm not using it. So I picked this up on Amazon, I think it was, but these you can get, you know, in most garden centers nowadays. So instead of using a garden tray, I simply use this and I find it super handy. All right, so I'm starting 15 peppers. I'm planting a lot because I want to just have a ton of peppers and access to peppers. So that's why it might seem like a lot for one family, but I really want to preserve as many as I can and have access to peppers in the wintertime for sauteing. They are really great for that. So if I can get my hands on peppers that way, I will happily grow them. And peppers are a pretty low maintenance plant to grow, right? They don't require heavy pruning or a ton of care. You can really just kind of plant them and stake them as they're needed. But aside from that, they're pretty much hands off. So I'm going to go ahead and fill these up, just pressing down the soil, making sure that I don't have any air pockets in there. And let's get these done. All right, first up, we've got the California Wonder seeds. Peppers like to be planted right around a 1/4 inch deep, and it says that all the information on the packet. So I'm just going to take a pencil here and just gently insert about a 1/4 inch. Not too deep. I don't want to submerge them like an inch below because that could inhibit the germination. Just a little tip, like right around there is about a 1/4 inch. Go ahead and make the holes in all the seed starting mix right away, just to keep it fast. So this seed lot is the one that's been expired for several years. So I'm going to put a healthy amount of seeds in each hole just to try to increase my chances of germination. Seeds really do lose their viability over time, their shelf life, if you will, over time. So always want to check the expiration date. And when in doubt, you can always plant a few extra seeds per hole like I'm doing right now. So I'm just going to grab a handful here, drop them in, and then cover it up. And the seed starting mix is pretty damp right now. It's not sopping, but damp enough that it will really create the ideal conditions for the peppers. And I'm going to do 4 of these plants. And then right off the bat, I'm going to go and label these. That way I don't lose track of what is what. So here I've got my plant tag. Again, I mean, these are just out of cardboard. Over time, they will kind of start to soften as I water these plants. But, you know, honestly, these are fine for seed starting. When I get out into the garden, I don't necessarily need to keep track of the different varieties. I'll kind of know just by looking at them because peppers are either red, green, or orange. Those are the varieties I'm planting, so it will be kind of obvious. Okay, next up we have the pepper etuda. I think I'm saying that correctly. That's also planted at about a 1/4 inch. Peppers like to germinate right around 70 to 85 degrees, so I will be placing these on a heat mat just to make sure that they have all the warmth that they need to germinate. And let's go ahead and get these labeled. And then lastly, we have the Pepper Sweet Grand Bell Mix. This is the one that has an expiration date of 12/24. So these should still be viable. Again, planting depth here is about a 1/4 inch. I won't plant quite as many per hole because these seeds are much younger. So I think they will have a much higher germination rate than the other ones. All right, so I've got these labeled. I do have to make one more because I planted 5. Nice thing about this is this doesn't take a ton of time. You know, once the seed system is set up indoors, I can get these planted and secure under a humidity dome in about 20 minutes. All right, so we've got our peppers planted. I am going to go ahead and start some jalapenos as well. This variety is early jalapeno peppers, so these mature in 75 days, unlike some other jalapeno varieties that mature over 100 days. And that is really ideal for cooler growing zones like mine because our growing season is just simply so short. So just something to keep in mind. You always want to check the maturity date on your seed packets just to make sure that it kind of falls in line with the zone that you're growing in. So for example, this sweet bell pepper matures in 65 to 85 days. So that's perfect for my growing zone. Some really, really hot peppers, I know that those can take very long, over 100 days. So those would be great for hot, very hot, long, tropical growing zones where, you know, they have that ability to grow for a long period of time. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and put some vermiculite on the seedlings. This way, it kind of helps retain some of the moisture of the seed starting mix. This is a fairly light mix, so I want to just make sure that my seedlings don't dry out. So it's just a small sprinkling on top of this, and it really helps retain the moisture. So we're all set to go. Let's get these on a heat mat and under a humidity dome. And there we have it, all snugged in. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more gardening tips. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.